everyone, welcome to Miss Lily's music class. Today I would like to give you some tips on teaching piano to your own kids. So first things first, if you want your kids to major in piano and go to music school, please send them to professionals. But if you want music to be a fun part of your kid's life, please keep watching. The next order of business is, do you have an instrument? Do you have a piano or a digital keyboard? If you have a piano, make sure they are tuned. If you have a digital piano, hopefully they are decent ones with weighted keys and all. Doesn't matter. I mean, it matters a little bit, but then it doesn't matter. It has full 88 keys as long as they are sounding okay with somewhat weight in their keys. Now, if you don't have either, I suggest you go for a shopping. I personally suggest that you start with decently priced digital keyboard than the acoustic piano when it's for a young beginner. There are some decently priced digital keyboard in probably local music store and as well as online. And there are a few reasons that I suggest those digital keyboard over acoustic piano for the young beginners. Number one, it is a lot easier for you to get rid of it once your kids are sick of piano. Number two, it is a lot easier for you to move it around, and the height is very adjustable for your little musicians. Number three, you don't have to tune them. Number four, it is cheaper. If you decide to commit to acoustic piano, you can find used one and even free ones online. There are a lot of people who's willing to get rid of their piano as long as you're going to move them. Now you got your instrument. Let's talk about books that you're gonna use. I use two different books. One is called The Piano Adventure by Faber, and the other one is by Alfred. In general, if your kid doesn't mind playing same thing over and over again, a repetitive move, I suggest you go with Alfred. But if your kid is on a fast pace, coloring, games, and all those stuff, I suggest you go with Piano Adventure by Faber. Now it's time to choose a level. And the level mostly depends on your kid's age. But remember, whatever book you choose, there's more reading for you than your kids. If your kid is between 3 and 5, I suggest a level A for either books. For the Piano Adventure by Faber, level A looks like this. And there are two. One is lesson book and then one is a writing book. And then for Alfred, there are 4 different books for level A. Lesson book, theory, technique and artistry, technique, and note speller books. As you can see, this one is a lot more colorful than this one. Let's see. Let's take a look inside. And there's a lot more colors. There's a lot more pictures and all sorts of stuff. But then for the Alfred, it's somewhat calm. There are pictures, but not as colorful as a Faber one. So choose wisely, but trust your instinct. You know your children better than anyone. If your kid is between 5 and 7, I suggest primal level for Piano Adventure Faber, and level 1A for Alfred. And if you decide to go with level A for either books, the next level for the Faber Piano Adventure is level B, that looks like this. And then if you go with Alfred level A, the level B looks like this. I'll put the links below. Now, the most important part is, how will you teach your children? You don't have to know how to play piano to teach your kids for the first level or even the second level. You should be reading up on the materials beforehand, and they're pretty much self-explanatory. Before you start piano lessons, I want you to play some games with your children. Here's what I do with my students. So, write up on L for your left hand, write up on R for your right hand, this way. So you can see it this way. Very good. And then I want you to ask them to raise your right hand, raise your left hand, that way. And then make sure you switch the role. Ask them to ask you which one's right hand, which one's left hand, and make sure you get some of them wrong so they can point out that you have done it wrong, and then ask them, so which one's the right answer? And that way they can learn it while they're teaching you at the same time. It's a really good method of teaching. Same goes for the finger numbers. Finger numbers can be very confusing for kids and even for adults. So this is what I do. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. I wrote some numbers on my fingernail so I can point out which one is a left hand number 1 finger. This one. Number 2 finger for the right hand. This one. Number 5 finger for the left hand. This one. So that's how you play the game. Remember, switch the roles and then make sure you get some of them wrong so they can teach you back. Oh, before I forget, if you had a piano lesson when you were little, forget about what you were taught. That was a long time ago, and then we got some new method for a reason. The kids these days are very different than 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And remember to go slow. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You want the music stay in your kids' life for the rest of their life, not until they're teens. Try to go 1 to 2 pages per week, and if they want to stay on certain pages because they like the piece, stay on it until they want to go for the next piece, or you can suggest them to go to the next piece while they're playing the piece that they like. Speed is not what we want here. What do we want? We want fun. In part 2, I'll be sharing some tips on how to make your kids to do their homework. See you in part 2.